Hitler's fantasies were sometimes gigantic. This phrase is attributed to Heinz Guderian, an important German army officer who survived World War II. With these words, the soldier summed up his opinion about the Führer's ambitious plans to create the most advanced weapons in the world. Beginning in 1942, the dictator ordered Third Reich scientists to design weapons powerful enough to annihilate the Allies on the battlefield. The result of these investigations were curious and extravagant prototypes, which were not always manufactured, but whose technical plans have survived to this day. Today, in this new episode of Military History, we'll tell you all about the strangest weapons of the Nazis. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 7, the Karl-Gerat. On the Eastern Front, the Germans encountered two formidable obstacles, the Brest-Litovsk and Sebastopol fortresses. In order to besiege them and force their occupants to surrender, the Wehrmacht mobilized one of its most curious weapons, the Karl-Gerat. It was the largest self-propelled siege mortar in the world. It weighed 124 tons, was 11 meters long and almost 5 meters high. To be operated, it required a crew of 21 people, made up of a commander, 2 drivers, and 18 gunners. The model was equipped with a powerful 600 mm long-barreled mortar, which had a range of 6.8 kilometers. Its use in the war was limited, because only 7 copies were made. For the troops besieged by the fire of the Karl-Gerat, it must have been a terrifying experience to see the shells approach, since the ammunition could weigh up to 2 tons each and produced craters 15 meters in diameter and 5 meters deep. Number 6, the Messerschmitt Me-262. Towards the end of the war, the Germans introduced an aircraft that, according to some historians, could have reconquered air superiority for the Luftwaffe. Its name was Messerschmitt Me-262, one of the world's first jet fighter aircraft. Although it was intended to function as a fighter, the truth is that it was also used in ground attack and reconnaissance missions. It was equipped with 4 30 million Malawian Quachas 108 cannons on the nose, capable of firing 660 rounds per minute, and 2 underwing launchers that fired R-4M air-to-air rockets. Hitting just one of these missiles would cause the enemy bomber to be completely destroyed, plummeting to the ground in flames. The Allies had no such weapon, although the Me-262 had a deadly weakness. It was incapable of making a tight turn, and it had delays when landing or taking off. Therefore, it was common for the Allies to try to shoot it down during these phases, when they were in the middle of the airbase. Between 1944 and 1945, 300 examples of this airplane entered combat and caused more than 500 casualties to the enemy. Despite its potential, its late introduction into the war rendered its impact negligible. Number 5, the Goliath. One of the most curious and destructive weapons of the Nazis was what the Allies nicknamed Beetle Tank. It was the Goliath, a small remote-controlled demolition vehicle that measured 1.5 meters in length, 0.85 in width and 0.56 in height, although its weight was 370 kilograms. Its objective was to transport explosive charges of between 60 and 100 kilos, enter the enemy ranks and explode, damaging tanks, men or buildings. However, the Goliath was considered a failure, as it was too expensive to produce but was easy for the Allies to destroy. It moved at a very low speed, making it an easy target, and its armor was so thin that any anti-tank weapon could disable it with a single shot. Before continuing, we want to invite you to discover our new channel, Military Might. Here we'll carry out in-depth analyses of the most powerful, modern, and surprising weapons of war in the world. So, if you like military weaponry, you must check out Military Might. You'll find the link to the channel in the description and in the first comment. Let's go on. Number 4, the Panzer VIII Maus. This monstrous tank was one of the largest made in the Third Reich, and was designed to terrify its enemies with its dimensions. It weighed 180 tons and was 3.5 meters high, 10 long, and 3.5 wide. As for its armament, it was equipped with a 128mm primary gun and a 75mm secondary. On the other hand, it had support MG-34 machine guns. It could travel at 20 km per hour, with a range of 160 km until the fuel ran out. Although there were plans to mass-produce the Maus since 1942, the Allies carried out several bombing campaigns on the factories where the armored vehicles were developed. Production of the tank was postponed indefinitely until, at the end of the war, only 2 prototypes had been made. Number 3, the Fritz X. At present, modern armed forces use smart bombs that, at the moment of their fall, can move until they reach their target. The forerunner of these explosives is the Fritz X, an anti-ship guided bomb used by the Luftwaffe. It weighed 1,300 kilograms, was 3 meters long and 85 centimeters in diameter. To make it more aerodynamic, the Nazis gave it 4 small fins and a box-shaped tail. Once it was dropped from an airplane, it was guided to its target via radio waves. Meanwhile, a crew member of the aircraft had to be in charge of coordinating the fall, and for this he had to maintain visual contact with the explosive, in order to make sure that it hit the target. However, this was its main weakness, since the plane had to remain on the bomb to carry out the guidance. During those moments, it was susceptible to all kinds of attacks from enemy fighters. Number 2, the Rürstel X-4. Around 1943, the Nazis designed an air-to-surface missile that could be launched out of machine gun range of enemy fighters, and also be guided to the target. The result was the Rürstel X-4, a powerful bomb that weighed 60 kilograms and measured 2 meters long, 0.5 meters wide and 0.2 meters in diameter. It could be launched from a height of 5 kilometers, and was capable of reaching a speed of 1,100 kilometers per hour. The missile payload consisted of a 20-kilogram fragmentation device, and the blast radius was lethal within 8 meters. The bomber's pilot could maneuver it with a remote control, affecting its yaw and pitch, although the guidance system had not yet been perfected. Its production started late, in 1945, but the Allies quickly saw the threat it posed and bombed the manufacturing facilities. Consequently, the Rürstel never reached its potential. Number 1, the Schwerer Gustav. In 1942, the Nazis deployed the largest artillery piece ever built. It was the Schwerer Gustav, a gigantic long-range railway gun, whose objective was to demolish the fortifications of the city of Sevastopol. It weighed 1,350 tons, was 47 meters long, 7 meters wide and 11 meters high. To move it, a railway convoy of 25 wagons was necessary, and a railway network specifically designed for its transport. The task did not end there, since once it arrived in Sevastopol, it took 5 weeks and the work of 4,000 men to assemble it. The gun was 32 meters long and had a caliber of 800 millimeters. It fired anti-armor projectiles of up to 7,000 kilograms and explosive ammunition of 4,800 kilograms, at a capacity of up to 14 shots per day with a range of 40 kilometers. The Schwerer Gustav opened fire on Sevastopol on June 6, 1942, mercilessly bombarding the city's forts for 11 days. The city finally surrendered in early July, although the cumbersome process of assembling the gun prevented it from being used again in war. We have reached the end of the video and we want to ask you, what do you think is the most powerful weapon of all these? Leave us your answer in the comment box below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to learn about many more military events that left their mark on history.